Hello and welcome to the final episode of Cade Friends podcast season 1. I am joined with Alex Clair.
Hello.
Hello, Alex. This is our final episode of season 1 of Cade Friends.
Some would call it the season finale.
Some could call it the season finale. You know, they could.
They could
do that. We would allow that.
We would allow that.
Yeah.
They can call it the season finale extraordinaire.
They could call it that too. These are all things people could call it, and we'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't tell them to stop. We would not send them a cease and desist. Mm-hmm.
Which you have done many times.
I have done for other things when people have called things of ours other things, but in this case,
you're ruthless. You're like Disney ruthless.
Yeah, I'm pretty ruthless. I'm a cutthroat when it comes to my podcast, but not in this case.
Not in this case. It's a happy time.
It's a happy time. Yeah. So I mean, like,
sad time, but also a happy time.
Sad and happy. If I had to classify it as two things, it'd be sad and happy. So this, I mean, we will have a season 2. I should say that we'll be taking a break.
We're not canceled.
We're not canceled. Not canceled. We have been renewed, also maybe slightly retooled in some cases. But yeah, no, I'm excited for the new season. We're already getting work done on that and everything, and so I think there's some really cool things coming up and down the pipeline. But yeah, we'll announce on our socials on my social Instagram at the Cade Thomas, if you don't follow that, and we'll also probably do some on YouTube on the YouTube page, or if you subscribe to our podcast, you'll know. But I would say, a few months, we'll be off for a few months, but then we'll be back. But that's not about what we're doing today. We are looking back at our first season.
Some of our greatest hits. Some of our
guests that we love, who are our friends, and it should be fun. And this is our first time together. It's just you and I for many episodes. It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
So we're this is also as all great season finales should have. We're testing a new camera.
Oh, yes.
So, hey, Google, what is the difference between alligators and crocodiles?
On the website CaptainJacksAirboatTours.com, they say, snout, alligators have a wider, U-shaped snout, while crocodiles have a pointier, V-shaped snout. Do you want a little more context?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Answer snout.
It's a snout.
It's a snout. And it's from Captain Jack's... What was it?
I was not paying attention. I was mystified by Google. So Google has her own camera now. Obviously, that's going to be a work in progress because sometimes we make funny facial expressions and we don't want to miss those. But also, we think Google deserved her own camera.
Yeah.
We also had
This might be a one-time. This might be a one-off deal. I don't know. I mean, I think it's important to highlight Google. I mean, Google has been a presence in all of our podcasts, either just sitting there or actively participating. I mean, you could say that Google's been in more episodes than you, probably.
Yeah, she probably has.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make sure.
Probably been more episodes than me.
Well, probably not that.
I think there's been a few episodes that it's just been Google. It was just a room with Joseph and Google, I think. Yeah.
Joseph would have a good time with Google. So we're going to take a look at some of our TikToks. It's going to be the easiest place for us to kind of go back and look at.
Some of them didn't have TikToks, some of our first ones and everything. So I guess we'll kind of start there. But yes, we'll tease the TikToks, and we'll and the other thing we're going to do, each one of our episodes had funny titles that were really well thought out by Alex and I. We had come up with multiple possibilities for each of them, and we really did some testing, some workshopping, and we came up with, I think, the best titles for each of them. So we're going to go through the lost titles.
I
guess we can start with when we started. Our first 2 episodes were audio only. They were great audio because we were recording them in a radio booth, and so it was good audio and everything, but no visuals. It was really kind of a test to see if it would be possible, if this was something we really wanted to do. First episode was just you and I, and it was testing out a lot of the stuff, which it's kind of surprising the amount of stuff that did stay. We later put in sound bites that wasn't live. The music and stuff that was produced later by Chrim. We just kind of put them in since it was audio. We could add those later, but everything. In that we do childhood fears. It was our very first segment we ever did. We do. There's a few of them. We do Prouse Party.
Yep, Prouse Party.
I'm trying to think of all the things, but yeah, it was a few different stuff there that still.
And you also brought in Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
So it went from myself to Hannah, and then the pandemic happened.
Yes.
So that kind of put a big old halt on everything we wanted to do.
Can't see, but on our screen. So yeah, we did a lore crime too on the first episode.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Yes, we did a lore crime, and I guess we did a movie smoothie. So we did quite a few on that first one.
Did we do a movie smoothie in the first one?
I guess so.
I don't remember that. It's been many months ago. Well, that was actually recorded in 2020. So
2020 was recorded in February of 2020, which is that's what's crazy. Is technically it started that we didn't release these until later, but these were recorded before. So we recorded that first one, and we have our possible titles of this episode was Alex Discovers Waldo, because Waldo was the lore crime. Alex is crippled by fear, or Alex solves death, which that's what we ended up going with. Alex solves death.
Just nice 3 titles. I think solves death was. I wanted something, clicky, and I was thinking Alex Solves Death would probably be.
And there's a reference in that, like you said, we kind of talk about what is our goals for this podcast. That's where it comes from. It's a section where we're like, what's our goals for this podcast? And we're like, we want to solve world hunger. We want to, do all this sort of things. And then one of them, you said you want to solve death. We want to end death with this podcast.
Cade made it a point to that the titles, to the best of his ability, are never going to be the main topics. They're going to be a small, maybe 10 minutes max spent on that conversation.
And sometimes even just a throwaway line that's never that was a big thing. Is I sometimes I think we might do it, but yeah, most of them are little bits that we get to sort of throw away. Sometimes we'll put them. I don't know if you listen to the podcast to the all the way in. After the music, we'll put the little clip that the title's referencing at the end. Just a fun little in credits scene of our podcast for our listeners. So we'll often do that, or sometimes we'll just put just a random clip. But most of the time, it's the clip that the title is at the end of the show, and it's a fun thing to kind of do that. We try to make them clicky. Sometimes, we just want to go weird because, like, sometimes it probably would be not in our best interest to call things what they are, but it's funny, and it's like, well, do people have the context for it? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
It just kind of depends on the state of mind we're in, because sometimes we'll look at it and be like, well, this is probably going to be the most clicky type, and then sometimes it's like, you know what, that's the funniest one. We're going with that. Is it going to get us, shadow banned or something? Maybe, but we went with it. So no real rhyme or reason on that. But
and I'll tell you, almost always I agree with you, because we'll talk through it, and he says that, I'm like, yeah, that is the best one, and so that's been pretty easy coming up with which ones we want of them. Episode 2, we had Hannah. Recorded a week after that one, again right before the pandemic happened. I think that one was in March. I think yours was in the last week of February, and that was the first week of March. So it was just about to happen, and it was just Hannah and I, and it was audio only still, and really good podcast. I one of, I think, the biggest problems, and I'll say publicly, for our first season, is we didn't have Hannah on enough. I think that was our problem. We did the we did that, and then technically speaking, I guess we should probably mention the semi-launch of our podcast was Girl Scout cookies. You know, it's kind of a lost episode that we don't really kind of talk. I mean, it's out there and it's probably, and it's it's a Girl Scout cookie taste test. It's essentially in this studio. It's an hour long. It's with guests that we would have on. We'd have on later, and Hannah's there and Joseph's there, and then later. I mean, Kenna, Andrew, Diane are in the separate portion of it. So it's kind of, and then in it, that's where we kind of launched that. Hey, we're going to be doing a new episode or a season of this thing, and it's called Cade Friends podcast. And we reference it within the show and everything. So that technically, in some respects, was our first one, even though it was recorded much later. But yeah, I don't know.
Our first 4-person podcast in a way.
Yeah, and it was the first. It was released before all of them as a kind of a launching thing. And Hannah was in that. And like I said, I wish Hannah was in more. We technically did record one with Hannah and Joseph that got lost to the sands of time for technical reasons. But you guys don't know what you missed, so sad. Guess you'll never know. But for Hannah's episode, really fun stuff. We had the options. Hannah wakes up as Benedict Cumberbatch, of course, a reference to a very popular segment on our show, Wakey Wakey Bendy Cumberbakey. That breaks the rule, which is why we didn't choose it. That's an extended sequence. The
rules that we put in place ourselves.
Then we have Hannah Gets Strange, which is reference to, we talk about Doctor Strange and Stranger Things in that. So that's we talk an extent about the Stranger Things. It wasn't a segment, but we talked quite a bit about it. We have Hannah Cancels the Smurfs. Fun. That's a really fun title. That's I think was our second. I really do like that one. However, nothing is funnier than the line, Hannah drinks the beans.
It's just it just drinks beans. When I heard that, I was like, beans. Like, I think I was worried about, like, I don't want to put cancel in our second ever podcast. I was like, let's not, like, I want to be a little clicky, and drinks beans. Not only is that clicky, it's funny.
Yeah. People were like, "Excuse me." It's kind of it's an odd one. It's because it's a one-off line of whenever we're talking about coffee and what people should should they call it. I think we ended up talking about coffee quite a bit in cancel culture about. I think it was. I don't know. Maybe it was something about what we should call it, and she said she should call it the beans, and drinking the beans. So that was where that was just a single one-off joke. And I thought that was really funny. And in hers, we did a Little Nicky, of course. Her Little Nicky was Colin. And we did a cancel culture, of course, which is where some of that stuff's from. And we talk about the Smurfs. The Smurfs joke is incredibly funny. We talk about how we would retool the Smurfs, and our retool was to put them in the real world, and that it would just be regular people would be Smurfed, and that they would just coexist in our real world, and that was our pitch for Smurfs. And it's really funny, and I really like Hannah, and I really wish I had her more on this show, and we will in season 2. That I think was a oversight.
It's a goal of ours.
Yeah, Hannah's really busy though, so it's sometimes tough to schedule her and everything. But I do think that that we should do that. Episode 3, first video. We really did that. I mean it was right. It was, you were visiting. We kind of go into it where it was really where we talk about the pandemic and all that, and that was something that was very, it was a lot on our minds then, of course. Audio wasn't as great. We didn't have the equipment that we had. We had a mic. This is the one that you were on the
camera.
It's an odd one. It's an odd little one that we did. That's the one we really don't have. Let me make sure with that I don't believe we have no segments outside of Prowse Party. It was kind of, this was done, of course, a year later.
Mm-hmm. It was more of just a catch-up podcast, almost, just to kind of be like, what's going on, and where are we, and what are we doing? Yeah.
And it's actually a really good little, like, 3 and 4 are good little slices of life, of what life was like then, and what people were going through, and what particularly we were. It's kind of a cool catch up of, like, us, and then even just what the world was like, to kind of put us into what we're doing now, which we don't talk about a lot of that's any things like that, but I do think it was the state of mind that we were in. And sometimes we get kind of deeper or whatever in this podcast. It depends on the guest or whatever our friendship is, and it's kind of good to have that setting. And if people discover it later, and I hope they do, and watch all this sort of stuff, it's kind of a good groundwork to sort of know that's a kind of a good starting off point where we were at pandemic, and then what's now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a good one.
Yeah. I think 3, we still hadn't found our footing yet.
No, not at all.
So I do think that when I'd recommend, I hope people, sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope people go back to the first, but then I think you would kind of start you off on the wrong foot. And I still, I talk about how great these ones were, but I don't think that there are great episodes yet.
You don't want to start with those.
Yeah. Those are kind of supplementary. If you really like us and and you have nothing else to watch, you've watched all of our other things, maybe go back or to do that.
I will usually, whenever, like if I recommend it to like friends or something, or I have people who ask, I'll tell them, skip the first couple of them. Just, they're good, but we hadn't quite found our footing. We have audio or video issues. Choose a different one, like 4 or on, I think.
So 3, I think so 3 will say we have quite a few different options. Alex uses every techno trick up his cyber sleeve. Okay. Alex uses every techno trick. Alex becomes Inspector Gadget. All those were Inspector Gadget related. We read the back of the Inspector Gadget box, and that they use the phrase, he uses every techno trick up his cyber sleeve. And then Alex is secretly Kevin Jonas. And then lastly, Alex becomes a Jonas brother. Can we talk about that? Which that's actually really funny. We probably could TikTok that segment, that little portion, because I find that was really funny, where you talk about going to Jonas Brothers concert, and there's some bit about you had the bad seats, and I'm like, oh, something about you having Kevin Jonas's spot, and that's the worst seat in the house is being Kevin Jonas, which is it's kind of a funny little joke, but I think we could do, but
because if you see it on our TikTok page, you know that we did in fact do that.
Yeah. But 3 wasn't, I don't know. 3 is one of our worst ones, but there's a highlight. It's kind of a little bit of a downer or whatever. Episode 4 is still during that. It's later. Again.
Oh yes, you're right. So it would be 5 and onward is where.
4 was when we bring in Joseph and Andrew for virtually, and it's our only a virtual one that we've brought in guests. And there's some good things with it and everything, but I still think it's just kind of an odd thing.
Chaotic.
It's chaotic. And then that is Joseph and Andrew get scammed, which is what we went with, or Joseph and Andrew didn't start the fire. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that one much. You can go watch it. There's some funny things in it if you like Joseph and Andrew.
Every episode has some funny bits in it. But episode 5, this next one, is really where we start. And it does change throughout the season, and some of them were filmed before others, and so I think there's a couple episodes where we figured out something, but we had already recorded episodes before. But at the time of this recording, we have everything figured out as of right now, up until season 2 at least. But this is really the episode where we start to really get a solid grasp on everything, and I think it's become what it is now, starting at episode 5.
And episode 5 was 2 of us again, and I agree. I think that was where it kind of got its footing. And
the final COVID chronicle, as well.
Yes, we kind of recapped some of it. It was kind of the end. It was like we were finally in the studio. It was this setup. I think we got our footing a lot of how we kind of want the show to be. Yes, you're right. We recorded some things prior to that and everything, and so we kind of knew what we were even wanting the show to be by that point. And so it was kind of a good transition point of here's what the show's going to be now. We're comfortable of what the segments are going to kind of be, what people we're going to have on, what our idea is, because we had a confidence being that we've actually did a few of these. Knowing what we were going to essentially tell people to watch, which is truthfully, it's a conversation amongst friends, and it's kind of tailored to what that friendship is with the people, and so it's each one has a different vibe, because it is questions that we would only ask these people, and what I in showing sort of the world what the aspect is that I love of these people. Sometimes it's comedy. We do get a lot of comedy bits and stuff, and that's always incredibly fun. There's people where that leans that way. There's some of them that leans, we talk about more serious things. Some people, it's a more professional sort of relationship, so there's a lot about that. There's ones that's art, where we talk about sort of the state of what they're creators in some sort of way, and we talk about that sort of what's the idea of creating what they do. And there's some that's like, there's a lot of crossover, that's people are multiple ones, but it's tailored to what that audience is, and what that
It's also the beginning of our TikTok, Instagram Reels,
yes,
postings, and then YouTube Shorts, or
Yes.
was YouTube?
Well,
Shorts
YouTube Shorts is a little later, yes.
It was a little later,
but yeah, you're right. The we did, yeah. Instagram and TikTok started with those 5.
We figured, because we had both seen on TikTok and stuff that people will post shorts on, like, little bits on TikTok and Cade is on Instagram. I'm not, as of this recording. And Cade has obviously seen a lot of stuff on Instagram. And so we thought of, why not? And I pushed it on Cade. I bothered Cade until he finally agreed to do it. And I'm glad I stuck with that one.
Yeah.
Because it drives, some views, but it's every platform is a good platform. Our plan is to move into, other places like Truth Social, and that's a joke. But no, it's, anything that we can do to post like little short, funny bits. I really drew that inspiration because seeing other people post stuff, but we wanted to make it our own. And so we have taken these like really funny, bits, and we have no rhyme or reason. It's just, if we think it's funny or if we think it's inspirational, it could be a 10-second bit or it can be a minute long. But it's turned into a really good time. And, I'm really happy with it, because watching that and then just, kind of seeing what trickles where is fascinating.
Yeah, no, TikTok, I'm glad you pushed that too. And it's been really fun to kind of make those things, because it's different content, and not everyone's going to go from TikTok to our podcast. There are people that, of course, have, and everything. That's how they found us and everything. But it's its own sort of that lives as its own thing. And so there's there's a lot of people that subscribe to the TikTok page specifically just to watch the TikToks, that they enjoy the content that way. People, consume content different ways. And so if at some point, if this podcast is just a vehicle to create, each one creates like 6 or whatever TikToks each time, and people enjoy that, then that's fun too. I mean, that's a different way of doing it. I'm okay. I mean, like, at the end of the day, we're just chatting with friends and having a good time, and people are enjoying that. So, and they're enjoying it either from a podcast perspective, or they'll watch it as a video on YouTube, or they'll watch it as bite-sized TikToks or Reels or Shorts or whatever. They're enjoying it and everything, and I'm glad.
As long as people are enjoying it, that's all that really matters. Because
sometimes we stir some things with the dot situation, but it's worth it too, I think.
And so should we take a look at the names, and then maybe one of those early TikToks?
Sure. Episode 5. It's called. We had options. Alex likes animals. Alex defends dogs. Alex. I'll skip over the one we actually went with. Alex dresses up as Hitler.
Obvious reasons why we didn't choose that one.
The last one. Alex is literally Hitler.
Another, obviously, we didn't choose that one.
The one we went with?
Chooky Dooky Doo.
Yeah. Alex defends Chooky Dooky Doo.
Which was a bit, because This was Cade's great animal rant. And I was on the side of animals, and Cade was anti-animal, you could say.
I don't think we would say that.
But also, we had a big bit about dressing up as Hitler.
Those are the two bookends of that.
Really, the two sides of a spectrum there. But
Alex
obviously,
defended dressing up as Hitler. I think was the
we decided, the Hitler ones were the funniest. Hindsight, though, definitely glad we didn't choose those.
yeah.
But we those were very funny. But I was
Hitler's become bad now, apparently. Yeah. Who would have predicted that? Hitler made a resurgence, and people were like, "Hey, you know what? Just discovered, guys, still not pretty great. Yeah.
Not a great guy.
Yeah.
Wow. Who would have thought? Who would have? If only we.
Some people are arguing against it heavily, though.
Yeah. In a wild twist of events, yeah, you're right.
In a wild twist of events, people are like, you know what? I don't know. To each their own, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, TikToks.
Next, over to you.
Oops, wrong thing. Okay, TikToks.
Well, it is our 2-bit, so it's Hitler or the pet rant.
So
if I, outside the store, had a cat being delivered to us right now, would you adopt the cat?
No, I wouldn't. I don't. What? I just don't. I don't want animals. I genuinely, and this might offend people or whatever, because they like animals and stuff, and I'm sorry, but this is the way that it is.
I like animals.
Are you wearing this or similar? And I don't.
Oh my God.
We're wearing it.
I do not condone.
That is different. This one is
okay.
Slightly different blue.
But that's my biggest. That's kind of funny.
Wow. Yours is the
exact same shirt.
Mine is a different color.
It's blue. It's a blue t-shirt. It looks intentional shirt. Now that we're just now realizing. Yeah, this is what we're wearing is a callback to the Chooky Dookie Doo episode.
Totally purposeful.
Yeah, yes. Biggest problem. I don't want hair around. I don't know how people can sit there and complain about hair in their food and then have like a cat in their mouth every night.
I wonder if your opinion would change if you had a cat that was getting up, jumping up on this table as we're recording, going meow, head butting over. You're getting into the fridge when you happen to accidentally leave it open and you're like grabbing the eggs to cook something, whatever you use it
in the kitchen whenever you're making things.
Well, it's probably not on the cabinet. Most people.
The more you describe it, it's a nightmare. It's a literal nightmare. So, we're not gonna watch the full 3 minutes of it because we've gotten shorter with our TikToks.
I'm sure we'll have other long ones, but this one, it was too good. And, we were worried that this would get Cade and, this would be a very quick end to our podcast, but, a couple people really related to it.
Yeah. Diane did call me a communist. But there were a few people that says the person I do not know, of course, because we do get, comments. Someone said, I'm glad you were brave enough to say this. It's okay to not want pets, and people need to stop pushing that on us. Yes, us. So,
then Elisha, we do know Elisha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who
I know Elisha personally, but no, that's a good point. Is finding cat hair in a gift, especially food, that would be gross.
It would be gross.
But I'm still on the side of pets.
And there's people that didn't like teachers, and I thought they were kind of. We'll skip ahead without the context.
You come in and you say Hitler stuff.
What a phenomenal jump. Wow. That was not planned at all. I think, all right, there we go. So those were now obviously we're not going to go through every TikTok with you guys, but only two TikToks came from that one.
And I think that, that's a good one to sort of highlight. I like I said, I think it's the pivot moment, and I would recommend people to start with that one. It's really good. I think it kind of shows our thing a little bit more.
We went really hard, very fast, very early.
Well, it was, and I know that there was some debate of like, do we put this out? Because it's kind of, I mean, I don't know.
I was a little worried that Cade would
yeah.
get shadow banned, but I don't really think we've gotten that. We do get views, so it ended up working out, but it was a scary.
It was a scary thing. It was like, and it's like, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, the joke is that, of course, we don't believe that, you know. I mean, we're not going to condone dressing up as Hitler, and we're not going to condone. I mean, like, the joke was, of course, I hate animal or what. I of course don't hate animals, and I say that in the thing that, you know, I want people, you know, lovers to love them or whatever, and I want them to have homes and stuff. It's just not mine, you know. So that's the thing. So you play it for jokes and everything, and and so that was always kind of like, do you think people are going to take you out of context or whatever? And it's and everything, and do you put that? And it's like, it was fine, you know. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, technically speaking, the what's it called? The category that our podcast in is comedy. Technically speaking, this is a comedy podcast. It's what hashtags I use and everything. I still believe that even whenever we do more serious things. I think at the end of the day, we do a lot of jokes and everything. And I do think that's, if we had to fall into a category, it would be a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
We'll breeze through some of these other ones if you want to go a little quicker. We had episode 6, Ariel. Love Ariel. We'll have Ariel on season 2. I think she's so great. Our 3 episode titles that we had for Ariel was Ariel is Shocking to Behold, which was a joke that you kind of said the wrong, so weird kind of phrase.
I still feel like it still sounds right to me.
Ariel becomes a mayor. Because her little Nikki.
Yep, little Nikki.
Or something. Yeah. And then Ariel upsets the apple cart, which is what we went with. Which I don't know. I mean, it's not. I think it maybe perhaps undersells how great that episode is. I mean, it's kind of an odd title, but it's a really great episode, and I love talking to Ariel. I think you could see the dynamic that we have, the three of us, is very interesting. Would have made a great radio show. Oh well.
Which we talk about that in the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's kind of fascinating. I think it works really well. But at the same time, it could only probably work in a podcast form, in a broadcast setting with like time restrictions and how people digest that and everything. It probably wouldn't work as well.
Because in a radio show would have, that's almost, I mean, it wasn't live, but it was more live than what we are now.
Yes. And there was, time constraints and a time slot and
if we were to go over, there's, everything else would just be lost. So I think this ended up working for the best. And then Ariel just was, one of our first, really, her first video was our most watched video for a long time, TikTok wise. I don't know if we want to play that one real quick, just a little bit of that. But hers lasted.
If you want to help get us a new light, you can subscribe to our Patreon. So right now we have one goal, and that is to fill this hole next over to your left, Ariel. Fill it in with another red tile.
The level. Can you please just not say? It was.
There's a hashtag, Ariel.
It was so delayed, though. Our one goal is to fill this hole. And you looked at me and were like, it's over to your left, Ariel.
Oh, yeah, I can see how that could translate differently.
Yeah, I feel very unsafe.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Our primary goal is to fill a hole.
Yeah.
To the left of you, Ariel.
Well, great. Yeah. And that's, still haven't achieved that goal. Still, our pie in the sky or
number one. So hashtag fill the hole.
Hashtag fill the hole.
Cade does do some small editing to the TikTok videos, some extra editing, just to add a little extra spice, and I think they do really well. And that.
If you want to help us fill the hole, by the way, patreon.com/ktomas.
Yeah, and so that was our first big one, and I mean it was only surpassed by one of Andrew's, and then it goes up until a Joseph episode, but it was a really good one to be like, you know, like,
do you like Ariel, Alex?
Oh, I love Ariel. We have a great history with her. We went to school with her, and she has remained a constant fixture in our lives. So we will have her on. She's so busy now, though, doing amazing things. But she's definitely doing what I think she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, think so. Episode 7, we had Debbie Tucker. She's a local actress and everything. She was in Ribbon, of course. She played Pearl, the homeless lady, in Ribbon. We had her on this, and her 4 options that we had was Debbie drives over tarantulas with a lawnmower. Debbie touches a bumblebee. Debbie admits it could be worse. And Debbie is a crazy old lady. Her words. That's what we went with.
We went with that because it almost went with the tarantula one. I think was the.
There's another rule that we haven't talked about these is that we don't want them to be overly long. That's the other. And like if you have to explain it, and it's like, and of course everything has to be the way name of first name of person, verb. Typically, and then whatever comes after it, and so it there is a structure to them, and if you have to kind of back in the back half with a lot of stuff, it kind of makes it overly long and whatever. So we try to make it somewhat short,
and so that's where. And then she called herself crazy and crazy old lady, and I thought it would be a little bit more clicky, admittedly. Stand by it. Mm-hmm. The bumblebee could have been a good one as well, touches a bumblebee, but I just really found parentheses in her words. I thought that was really funny. And that's really the big rhyme and reason there, but we love Debbie.
Yes, we do. Debbie's really great, and that was a fun episode. I think that that was her first podcast episode ever.
Oh, yes, that's right. It was her first podcast.
So this was her advice for actors. Do you have any advice that you've learned that you would like to give to actors?
If you're seriously going to do it, whether it's a hobby or you really want to try and make money, make it your life, be prepared for a lot of rejection. Mm-hmm. Know your limitations. If you say you're going to be there, say you're going to do something, be there and do it. I guess that's that's enough.
And if you had any advice for your younger self, what would you do?
How much younger? Get started on it sooner, especially when I first moved to Austin, because the interest was there. I just didn't really get into it as much until I came back to Oklahoma.
So yeah, that was, and so she gave a lot of advice. She was, and we talked a lot about, that's one we're saying we talked a lot about acting and sort of the art of that and everything in her personal journey with that. I must say, in our early times, sometimes things popped off on Instagram. And I talked to Alex about that. Ones that didn't do well on TikTok did incredibly well on Instagram, and then it's kind of this weird opposite thing. And I don't know exactly why that is, but in particular, this one was our most popular at that point. But not on TikTok. But you had people that was really locked in and actors and things, and it got sort of, I think, shared because it's a positive thing, and it's a nice sort of simple message and everything. And
I think people like hearing stuff like that. Yeah.
So that's Debbie, and I really do like Debbie a lot, and we'll work on a lot of projects with Debbie. It might be something in the future. Who knows? I do really, 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 really like working with Debbie. She has a really great drive, and she's just a great person to be around and have on set. She kind of elevates everyone around her.
Yeah, no, she's amazing, and it's you just can't have a complaint when you're working with her.
Yes,
and she doesn't like cilantro.
Yes, she doesn't like cilantro. Diane doesn't like cilantro either. It's a whole thing, and I love it.
I find that outrageous. But other than that, those are the only complaints you can really have.
We didn't say last time Ariel's nickname was Poseidon, and Debbie's was Tally, because she was talented. That was the joke.
We had some pretty good bits. I would.
And then she did Childhood Fears, which was tarantulas, spiders, which would go on to be a reoccurring thing. Looking back at Ariel's literally only had Little Nicky. We just kind of talked for the rest of it.
We would just
I like when we just sort of talk sometimes and don't have bits. It kind of, or don't have the
nice.
segments. It's sometimes really nice. And I think in season 2 I think we'll have to retire some bits because we've little nickied a lot of people.
Yeah. We're almost out of that. I'm sure it'll make an occasional appearance. Like Diane might get one and a few other people that I've met and become friends with through this. So I'm sure it'll be, but it won't be as prevalent as it was in season 1. So if you liked it, I'm sorry. And if you didn't, you're in luck.
And for people who return, like we have to cycle out things. Like some things can be repeated, of course, like cancel culture and movie smoothie and stuff. But what can't be is like childhood fears. We exhaust that. Well, if they do that once, they can't do it. Unless they have some other. Yeah. Unless they were particularly fearful as a child and had a lot of. So, episode 8 was Andrew. Love Andrew. So our options were Andrew's bald. Andrew is Mr. Clicky. Andrew makes home, happier. Which is, what was it?
Mr. Clean?
No, Bed Bath and Beyond, right?
Yes.
That's there.
Yes.
That's their
That's
little slogan. Andrew goes to Space Mountain. Good. Andrew cries at Disneyland, which is what we went with. But the other one that was really good, which just is funny. Andrew is Pirate Santa Claus.
Which that one was a top contender, but clickiness prevailed. Cries at Disneyland. I was really hoping to maybe drive some clicks from people who really enjoy Disney, or people who don't like Disney. I was trying to. I was really hoping to take in, because if you love Disney, you're gonna be like, why did he cry? If you hate Disney, you're gonna be like, oh, why did he cry? So definitely that was more on the click, and it's funny, like Cries at Disneyland, kind of, not the funniest out of them all. The bald was, I think could have been a pretty good pick, but I stand by the Disney choice.
Yes. No, I think so. I think that it's kind of, it's like, it gets you interested, and it's kind of like, two opposing things. Happiest place on earth and crying, so it's kind of funny in that respect. And it does make you kind of like interested in what this story is. And
Andrew has such a contagious laugh. On whenever he laughs, I love listening to him laugh, and I love our videos with him, because you hear him laugh. He has such a hearty laugh, and I absolutely love that.
Yes. And I think Andrew's one of the more versatile. He of course sat in for you as a co-host a few times, and you can talk a lot about. You can do comedy things with him and bits, but you can talk about real things with him. You can talk about photography. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff you can do. Andrew's a very versatile sort of person to have on the podcast, that you can kind of go different angles with him, and he has a fun time and everything. And like you said, it's sometimes good to have someone in here that is just, will laugh at the bits and will kind of carry on, and everything, and he'll laugh at the bits, and it kind of makes it, you're right, infectious and everything. And so in that episode we did Lil Nicky, which is Mr. Clicky. We did Movie Smoothie, which of course Andrew would do that. He loves movies and everything. And then we did a Prouse Party, like always.
And I think it's only fitting that we play his cry TikTok.
Which one?
I think it's...
Andrew made it.
I think it's the second one. Yes, that one. Okay. It's not our most viewed one.
But the saddest thing about
the introvert extrovert, but that's kind of a longer one, and it was more on a me. But this is more Andrew facing.
I didn't. The one person I wanted to meet.
This was where we mixed the bad. So we were still learning some of that stuff. And Andrew's, I think, was filmed, one of our earlier ones in the batch. And we still have a bad camera, which is now the one that's on Google. And we use that as our main wide in this. And then also you have the wide camera in front of your face for most of this one. It's just, we were still figuring out the visual aspect of this, and we made a bad call.
We've also learned that I like the red mic, the handheld is a bit easier, which I think is carried on with some of the co-hosts is it just, because the other mic, I mean, now it's on Google, but it also is just in the way very much. And so the red mic, it's just, you know.
And it kind of makes you a little bit more free form where you can kind of jump in and do everything. I think it makes sense. Disney or something.
And I looked around so hard for Mickey.
Also
And I'm telling my mom, I want to see Mickey. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to go anywhere until I see Mickey. I saw Mickey for like 10 seconds, and he walked back and he disappeared, and I never saw him again. And man, oh man, did that make me sad.
I think
like that. I actually cried.
He's running a corporation.
Yeah, everything's coming.
So Disney, if you're listening, you owe me a trip to Disneyland.
Or you could just send Mickey here.
Or just send Mickey here.
If
I don't
he can
care.
fit that into his busy schedule.
Yeah,
if he's
because
passing through or something.
You made this boy cry at your theme park.
Let me get you your close up here.
You made this boy cry at your theme park. Cry.
Which I think, was also the beginning of where I kind of put them.
We still haven't gotten him to Disneyland yet.
Or Mickey Mouse here.
So we are still working on that goal.
Yeah. Yes. Maybe after filling the hole.
Yeah.
Tier 2. Yeah. Yeah. So that was that. Love, Andrew. 9 is the Diane episode, which you weren't part of. It was the first time you weren't. Well, I guess you weren't in Hannah's original one,
right.
but that was the first time that you weren't co-host. If you were on here. So episode 9 was Diane. Oh, that was such a great episode. Diane was such a great guest. I think that she did so great with that, and Jennifer, who stepped in as co-host in that situation, really bounced well off of Diane because she knows Diane very well and like knew what were some of Diane's interesting stories to tell on the podcast. And so I appreciate Jennifer, and she could come in and do these really great lines too that were really funny. And Jennifer's a real huge fan of our podcast too, listens to them all. So hi Jennifer.
I was gonna say hello.
She always gives me feedback on all of them and everything, and I very much appreciate it, and lets me know what she really liked and everything. So but yeah, Diane's episode, we have the options where Diane has Diane has LSD flashbacks on Space Mountain. Again, a Space Mountain thing. There was a lot of Disneyland right back to back. Diane survives a plane crash simulator in brackets. And then we have Diane's Bigfoot cruise, or what we went with, Diane finds Bigfoot.
I think that one was just kind of a clicky one.
It's short to the point.
Yeah, and looking back, I would maybe change it to the survives a plane crash simulator. Space Mountain just feels a little too long.
Yes.
So I
sometimes I make funny ones because I knew that at some point we're going to read through these, and so even though it's way too overly long, it's just I had to write it down because it's too funny.
And it's good to have options because maybe I would have chosen it. But that Space Mountain one, that gets me. I listen to that TikTok every now and then, so I'll go back and listen to some of these.
It's one of our shorter ones too.
It's an easy, quick fix, nice little quick high, if you will.
Yeah.
To add on to that joke.
Diane did childhood fear. She was scared from Twilight Zone of falling into her wall. Lore crime. We talked about Captain Crunch. Diane, her favorite segment's lore crimes and everything, and I don't know. We'll see if we can do them. That's the segment that takes the most prep work on my end, and so it's a little. We don't do it as often because I had to find something. Well, one thing I had to find something that's kind of interesting that,
but also won't take 2 hours to figure out
exactly. And so so you can't really find it's like search. And so you have to kind of put it in a way. And so Captain Crunch, where I put in like a slideshow, it was kind of, I did a lot more with that. To me, I think, which we'll talk about later, I think perhaps the evolution of that would be something like what we do in the Halloween episode, which I think was probably the best segment of that, where we barely talk about the monster cereals, but then we have a taste test of them, which I think is something kind of cool. We should probably just do a taste test segment.
Oh, yeah. Taste test like Mr. Clean products?
Yeah. I don't know. I think, I mean, something where we kind of do that. I forgot. Yeah. Chooky Dooky Doo also had Mr. Clean, right? That episode had that. So, yes, I think in general, having a taste test would be a good thing.
I'm guessing those are on the screen. The audience can't see, but Cade Holiday World and stuff. I'm guessing those are because Holiday World was a lore crime.
Yeah, so I wanted to do Holiday World again, but we never did.
Is that where it all started?
It is where it all started.
Holiday World.
Holiday World, yeah, it is where it all started, and we realized it would be a good bit there. Okay, so which one do you want to do from Diane's?
Diane's
so
Space
many
Mountain.
great ones.
The Space Mountain one for sure.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's nice, short to the piece. To the
Not the most watched TikTok we've ever had.
Oh shoot, you're right. No, you're right. We got to go to it. We got to go to the most. And I think again that it's most watched because it's another advice one, and I think those advice ones do really well.
And I also think it hooks you right off. Like it's one that just immediately gets you. So let's.
I wish the Space Mountain one would have done better.
You gonna watch Space Mountain real quick? It's like 10 seconds.
Yes,
so
let's do
when you
it.
go on Space Mountain and those doors open and those lights come at you. That's what LSD is like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you get
Just-
flashbacks?
Like, shit. It was like, whoa. This was like riding in the car.
Everyday Space Mountain on LSD.
I think it's her laugh and then you going everything Space Mountain. I don't know. But yes, Diane.
I was hoping that would be I was hoping that would be a TikTok sound. Everyday Space Mountain on LSD, which is so sad.
So if you ever want to use our sounds as on TikTok, please do.
Yeah. Everyday Space. Yeah. Her.
Is this still our most watched video? This one?
It is. No, I think that technically speaking, that Cody's passed it, right?
Oh yes, Cody's did pass it, but it was a hard one to beat for a while.
On Instagram, it's still. Let me see. I think it still might be because it also did. This is one of the rare occasions where it also did well on Instagram, and I guess it just kind of goes to show you that something's in it that is really great. Yeah, it is still our most it is our most watched on Instagram. So that is accurate.
So it's most watched on Instagram
and our second most watched on TikTok, which it was our most watched for a while. So here it is. So this is called The Worst Advice. What was the worst piece of advice you ever gotten?
Stay married. You guys will figure it out. Worst piece. Yeah.
How long were you married?
3 long freaking years. You know, it's pretty sad too because I married my high school sweetheart. Mm-hmm. And this is after I came back from college.
And it takes kind of a turn and everything. I mean, we won't watch it all, but yeah, so it catches you right off, and then she kind of goes into a personal thing and everything, and I think it catches you with a joke, and then it kind of goes into actual sort of advice, and it kind of a heartfelt story, and then it kind of works its way back around again, and it's real good little TikTok.
It's a good one. It's a very good one.
Love Diane so much, and if you love Diane and I's dynamics, you should listen to Double Feature Movie Club, our movie podcast, which is our sister podcast, which Alex is sometimes on. Next, Joseph. Love Joseph. Love Joseph so much. We've had him. He's our only guest we've had on technically 3 times on one season and everything. And it's pretty spectacular. It's a pretty big feat. And when people say they really like our dynamic, and Joseph's so incredibly funny.
He gets along with us very well. He's very good at meshing with us.
It was called Joseph Hears Voices in His Head. That's one option. Joseph wants to be like Mike. Joseph becomes the president of London. Joseph talks furry art. But we end up going with one that's not even on this, but I think it was Joseph reveals his fursona.
Yes.
So I don't know how we got that.
I think so. What ended up happening? So I think we had a conversation about like we want to do furry art, but like, is that going to put us in a weird thing or whatever? So we kind of went with one that's slightly better, and it's kind of not exactly what we're talking. I mean, but he has the new nickname Surfing USA, so perhaps we're saying that's his new fursona or whatever.
So yeah,
it's a little bit more of a stretch, but it was a funny sort of thing.
You know, we think about the filter sometimes.
We do. And then also like I think about the verbs also of like I don't want so much of where the verb is or talks, you know, since it's like so we try to shy away from that. Sometimes we have to do that. So that's where reveals is a little bit like we're not going to probably do too many of reveals or cries. So that's where we kind of we try to break it up. Drinks, like just fines. There's some of them that hates. There's some of them that have stronger things. So yeah. What are we gonna do for Joseph?
That's what I'm looking at right now. Let's just do the most watched one of Joseph's.
Okay. This is a PSA for the artists.
I've been told, because I have friends who are artists, that people in the furry community...
That's how they make money.
Yeah, artists can make a lot of money from people in the furry community because they want good art. And so if you're an artist and you want to make money...
You answer close up. Here we go. This is to the artists out there.
Hi, artist. I'm Alex.
I'm Joseph.
And we just want to let you know.
We just want to let you know.
Do you need money?
Do you need money?
Then we have an offer for you.
We have an offer for you.
Get into the furry
Get into
community.
the furry community.
Because they will pay big.
That's right, Alex. They will pay big money for big things, if you know what I mean.
Oh, there's our bad camera.
I actually have friends in the furry community. And furry art is, it's a way to make some good money. So if you need money.
Okay.
I'm not a furry. I would like to make that clear.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
No. None of us are. None of us are, right, Cade?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He just has friends in the furry community.
Yeah, it does sound a little ominous.
We all have friends in the furry community, don't we, fellas?
Well, it's hard to ignore whenever your friend is very much like, I'm a furry.
I know it's hard to ignore, especially when you start kind of understand. It's hard to ignore.
People don't understand.
Are you a furry?
No.
That one gets me still. A lot of these still get me. Joseph, very funny guy, plays very well. You never know what he's going to do, but he's so fun.
Yeah, I love Joseph, and we'll definitely do more with him. I think we do a lot of fun things. Next one, episode 11, our first on the road one. Adrian. Our options are: Adrian is killed by a mozzarella stick. Adrian is haunted by Michael Jackson's ghost. Adrian breaks his wrist at a roller rink. One we almost went with. But I just didn't want Adrian is someone's 13th reason. And then the one we actually went with, which is Adrian hates Arby's.
The Michael Jackson's ghost is a good one.
Just too long.
13th reason.
It's funny with the context, but with someone completely out of the context, they think, "Oh my God, did he actually cause something?" So it's
and then it also, I was like, it's a little outdated at this point.
Yes, you were. Yes,
and so I was like, I just don't know if that's going to be as clicky. If I went back, what was I don't know, probably like. I don't know. I mean, I think we went with the right one, but like the Michael Jackson's ghost, I think could have been a really good. Like we could have maybe broken the rules with that one, but hates Arby's, straight to the point. I still think it's a good one.
Yeah,
and I still love Arby's to this day. I had it like a week ago, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Adrian, do you remember what Adrian's Little Nicky was?
No, I don't.
Did he have a Little Nicky? I have it marked there.
Yeah, he had one. I just can't remember what it is. How embarrassing!
I remember Gretchen was one of them, right? Wasn't Gretchen? We had a Gretchen on. Boy. Okay, I don't remember what Adrian's was.
Do we want to go and find it real quick? You want to pause real quick and find it? All right, audience. This is probably like a small cut there. It is Gretchen. Cade was right. There is a Gretchen, and Adrian was Gretchen. Mm-hmm. So we had to figure that out. We were so embarrassed. Mm-hmm. We decided to. This was going very smoothly, and now there's this big cut in it. But I think it was worth it. Yes. So Adrian was Gretchen.
Adrian's Gretchen. Yes. And Hates Arby's got a lot of, on Instagram, we had a poll. People loved or hated Arby's. It was kind of a fun thing.
What was the final poll?
Oh, God, you're going to keep asking me that. I honestly think, quite hilariously, before I promise that, let me pull it up here. It was literally 50-50.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Can people still vote on that now?
I can't. But I do want to tell people who have been on the show. They voted on this, so we're going to say, Adrian, you know where he landed on this.
He hated it.
He hated it. Diane, where do you think Diane landed on this?
Did she hate it? I want to say no. She loved it.
Diane loved it.
Thank goodness.
And then Ariel
Hated it. There's no question in my mind.
That is correct. Well, you knew him.
There was no question in my mind as soon as you said Ariel.
So yeah, that's. Oh, we supposed to watch one of Adrian's. So which one you want to watch? His old podcast. Okay, here we are. Which one?
Well, let's
Michael
do the
Jackson.
Arby's one.
Oh, you're not gonna do Michael Jackson's Ghost? I had to watch Michael Jackson's Ghost. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was also one of our first ones we did on YouTube, and it had a lot of interaction on YouTube. There we are.
Michael Jackson had just passed away, which means I had just found out who Michael Jackson was. Had no idea who he was, didn't know about it. I grew up in a very Mexican household. We weren't listening to Michael Jackson. My little 9-year-old ass decided for whatever reason that he was haunting me. Me specifically. I thought Michael Jackson had it out for me. The world was mourning. I had no clue who this man was, but he wanted me.
So was he? Well, there's a lot there.
So would you check under your bed before you go to bed to see if Michael Jackson was under the bed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you still have a problem with Michael Jackson because of this? Like,
No,
or not because of this
no.
reason?
I have other issues with Michael Jackson. Allegedly.
You allegedly have other issues with
yeah.
Michael Jackson.
No, he did the stuff, but I allegedly take issues to it.
So hang on. So
Say that with my chest.
Adrian is such a funny guy.
It's weird because like that one that was our best one on here, but and then it did good on YouTube, or we did really well on YouTube, but like offending. So this one about Arby's was our most one on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it is ironically
It's one of our least viewed
offending
ever.
possible sponsors.
It's awful. Did awful. Did absolutely awful.
But I think it's because we they didn't want we said offending sponsors, so obviously TikTok was probably like, no, thank you. It is fascinating to watch just where these go.
Yes, I was gonna say also the worst T-shirt did really well on both, but not on Instagram. It's kind of fascinating. One of the things people sort of thought is kind of we got some comments on was they're like, well, he MJ didn't die that long for him to be 9 or whatever, and it's like because I think some people, of course, Michael Jackson people think died very recently, whatever, but yeah, I mean he had.
Is it what year was it? Like
2009.
2009.
So but without, he was born. Because he publicly said it. He was born in 2000. He's a 2000 kid, which that makes sense.
He was 9 years old.
He was 9 years old.
Yeah. I remember reading that comment. The person was like, "There's no way that doesn't add up."
Yeah, it's like Adrian. It's kind of funny, and people kind of
maybe they don't. Maybe they thought Adrian was older.
Yeah, I think that's what it implies is they think Adrian's older. But no, that is true.
So we went to Adrian's apartment for that. So first on the road, and it worked out pretty well. So pretty happy with that, and it definitely encouraged us to. We are happy to do more on the road stuff. I mean, that's why we did our Christmas special. The Christmas special was also a semi-test for another idea that I'll just tease out there. That's as much as I'll put out there. But if we never would have done Adrian's, who knows how if we would have really done more on the roads.
12 is Kenna. It was Kenna and Andrew was the guest on that. It is our longest episode. It was really good. I really, really liked it. We probably could have split it into 2 or something, but we just had too good of a conversation, I thought. And it was more of our it was kind of I recommend people listening to that one. It's one of my favorites. It's one of our more popular ones too. In which I think what Kenna and Andrew and I's friendship was really a good one where we can talk about some of the more deep stuff, but also have fun. So we kind of really talk about what this past few years have been, and and trying to find our way and everything. So it's really an interesting thing, but it's also funny it's a journey, and I think it's really a really beautiful podcast, and I would recommend people. And it kind of shows a different side than what this podcast can be. It's a kind of a different thing, and so I recommend that. We had a lot of options with what we should call that one. But they were all weird. So when one was called, you kind of have to have context for a lot of them. So it's odd. So Kenna's digital memories, which I thought would kind of be, you could kind of do some cool thing, but it's kind of stupid. That's what she calls photography, or whatever thing. And you could do like a font thing. I don't know. I had an idea for that, but we did not go for that one. Kenna is in the Truman Show. Kenna is scared of everything. Kenna's very special episode. Kenna's depressing episode. Kenna unpacks childhood trauma, which is what we went with. But I really liked. I like this, but we didn't go for it. Which is Kenna gets loopy on brain juice.
I don't know why we didn't choose that one now in hindsight, because we ended up going with the longest one with this one. We did kind of break the mold, which I think we talked about when we were discussing which one to go with.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't choose the brain juice.
At the end of the day, it ended up being very popular. So it's like, I don't know.
I think I went clicky, and so it sounds like I did good.
Yeah, it's like, but I don't know if that put people off. It obviously didn't. I don't know, but it may. I mean, I don't know. I was scared of like doing something that was called that, and it's like, to be fair, there's a joke in it that's like very meta, of like, what should we call this one or whatever? And if we call it kind of unpacks child, this she's like, she's somewhat upset. It's like everyone else has these fun episodes, and mine's kind of unpacks childhood trauma, and it's like it's partially that, but it's not really. I mean, like we sell it, it's not this episode isn't. it goes to some deeper places, but it's not like it's kind of funnily depressing. I don't know how you sort of say that. I don't know. It's a different thing. People think that they're going to get something really, I don't want to sell people on that they're going to get something really dark or whatever, but it is. But yeah, Kenna gets loopy on brain juice it's a good one. It's a good one. I part of me wishes we would have went that way.
There's an alternate reality. We went with that one.
Yeah. So let's see. We did a lot of things on that. She had her.
She had a lot of TikToks too.
Yeah, her little Nikki was Mayor Tina, by the way.
Mayor Tina.
But yeah, she did have a lot. You're right. She did have a lot of TikToks. Oh, quite a few. Wow. That's our longest podcast.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. We could do the eye nightmare or the teeth. The teeth. We gotta go teeth, right?
It's the most viewed out of hers, but she had two good high viewed ones.
Yeah, and on Instagram, I think Andrew was the gum kid. The thing is, Andrew talked quite a bit too, and so it was kind of like another Andrew episode too. And we talked about photography because they're both photographers. There's a lot of different things we did. Talked about the state of film. It was just a lot of stuff. We went.
I got all my wisdom teeth pulled because my orthodontist was like, "Dude, you have." She didn't say "dude." She didn't call me
dude. Your mouth is like
really huge.
Whoa. There's like so many teeth in that.
Holy crap, bro.
That's a real gnarly setup you got there.
My orthodontist told me I had plenty of room for my wisdom teeth. Wow, I've never seen this. Like,
fit a few rows of wisdom teeth in here.
Became a problem. Actually, I don't know what you're worried other about. People's teeth to your mouth.
Yeah, I got all these wisdom teeth we can just plug in there. Yeah. I got all these teeth that I've been trying to figure out a place for them to go.
It's not a biohazard. Yeah. They wouldn't let me keep my teeth when they pull them. I was pretty mad about that. Why would you take that from me?
Yeah, or why are they keeping them for?
Yeah, I was like, what
kind of weird sickos are keeping people's teeth?
Making them into necklaces and things. But they
probably selling them on the dark web.
They are.
Oh, absolutely. Because what other reason? They were like, it's a biohazard. And I was like, it's my teeth. It's my bio. It's not a hazard to me.
Yeah. And that's where I messed up. See, it's still covering it. But it didn't work. Yeah. Yeah,
that was good.
It was good. I actually kind of forgot I was watching, so it's because it's a good clip. Because I was just like, oh, kind of enthralled by it.
Yeah, I usually we don't go through the full minutes, and you did.
Yeah, so it was fun. You could tell there was fun things with that, and then you had a great comment that Surfer Dentist is my next character or whatever.
Yeah, I try to think up some good comments when I watch these clips.
13th episode. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying our next one is our only other on the road.
Yes.
Well, for the primary, our holiday
Special,
spectacular. Yeah. It was also an on the road, but this is the last of the core.
Yes, it was Cody, the Dapper Saint. He's a YouTuber and everything. He's a friend of ours and everything. And so we thought we'd do a little crossover episode, which goes into, we only had 2 options. It was a shorter episode. And it was called Cody Does a Crossover Episode, which we didn't go with. They're both fine. That was kind of cool. Or what we went with, which was Cody Goes Amish.
That was for the clicks.
Mm-hmm.
And he has our most watched TikTok.
Yes.
Which I don't think we really expected this one to go off, because neither of us at the time. I wasn't really into anime. I've started watching some anime, but I'm still not really big into anime. Cody is, and I don't really think we were expecting this anime TikTok to really. It
wasn't anime.
Oh, was it not anime? No. Oh, it was a video game.
Yes. Or
Sorry.
no. It was spiders. It was about spiders.
Was it spiders? Oh boy.
and so like we had on Instagram on Instagram. What?
Let's just cut all that.
It's fine. No, on this, you're right in the sense of like we did have explainers that did really well on YouTube and on Instagram. Those are both our most popular ones with him. They were kind of close. I don't know. People still find him. Yeah, you're right. He did do an explainer on that too, which is that.
Okay, that's the one I was confusing with.
So this is our most viewed, and it's just kind of informational.
Have you ever seen those spiders that they have in Australia?
I remember this now.
The ones, I forget what they're called, but they're the gigantic spiders that will vibe in people's homes and eat rodents.
Yeah,
The thing is, they are completely and utterly like mutualistic when it comes to relationship with humans. They do not want to fight or be like hurt humans at all. They simply just like vibe inside houses and eat small animals or rodents and stuff like that, or other bugs. It's really weird because they'll just take up a corner, and when there's no longer anything around there, they'll leave. It's a really weird like relationship.
Wait, is it going to eat like your pet dog?
No, it doesn't eat anything that big.
Okay.
But like smaller things like rats and things, or like bugs, for instance, like things that you don't want to have in your house, it will go and eat them. It's actually kind of cool. I would never want one in my house, but it is still kind of like neat.
There you go.
Yeah, it was about spiders, Australian spiders, but it did really well. Explainers do, or it was good. I was baffled by that, if you can tell by my look. But check out the Dapper Saint. He was fun to work with. We went to his location where he films out of,
and we did like he had his purple, we had our red mics, so it was a good,
nice little
clash of colors. The episode 14 was our Halloween Spooktacular with Chrim. Love Chrim, love the effect all that he does. Had a great time with Diane and Chrim and all that. Had a lot of great stuff. We tried things and everything.
Was perhaps our most controversial episode.
We had to talk about the controversy, which is what he said, which is got our most comments of anything. So here we go.
Also, the entire set is probably the most viewed set because all 4, out of the 6, 5 of them, 4 of them did more than 4,000, and 5 of them did more than 2, and it was. But I was also really leaned into the Halloween, and these were posted.
We went far into the Halloween thing, yeah.
So I'm sure that had something to do with it.
It was posted, yes, Halloween week. So here we are. This is our most controversial TikTok.
But my least favorite candy, dots.
Oh God, those are awful.
Nobody likes dots.
Nobody likes dots.
You go through all the effort of walking up to someone's door, and then they give you dots.
Would they come in like a pack with other things?
Yeah, you buy it.
Go into our theory and all that, but that's just the important thing. People had a problem with.
Let's look at those comments real quick.
I love dots. I've always, since I was 3, I like dots, but not those little boxes you get on Halloween. I like dots. I'll take yours if you don't want them. Y'all like Halloween cereal, but not dots. Dots is greater than Halloween cereal. We didn't say we liked Halloween cereal. It was just part of our set, but thanks. If you're not giving, if I'm not giving dots, sure, I'll eat them, but I wouldn't go out of my way to buy them.
There's some people who were like,
dots are so good and no one can change my mind. I like dots. They're just not enough. Love dots. Dots only in the Halloween packaging, especially eat those during ice fishing. So, okay. I like dots.
I
I like dots. I love dots. They're in my top 10, better than candy corn, which started a little trend. Well, I don't think candy corn is horrible. Wait, people don't like dots?
Someone just said candy corn.
Candy corn. I like candy corn. Because we have a question on here with the worst Halloween candy. So people put other things. I like dots. I like dots. I like dots. I like dots.
So a lot of people. So Cade commented back on his, which he already.
Dots. I like dots. I love dots. I love dots. How dare you? They're 50-50 for me. Dots are low tier. That's yours.
That's me. I said, they are low. I thought they were low tier.
Dots are good. What do you mean? Yeah. See that?
The best one. But yeah, so Cade recommented and said, they're going to try them again next year. So
we'll see. Yeah, people said that, but at the same time, all those comments, 54 comments, I don't know how many was the majority of them were pro dots, but we had 2,649 likes. So I like to think that those people liked our message.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So most controversial. More controversial than Cade's pet rant.
Yeah, more controversial than your Hitler thing. People care more about dots than they dislike Hitler, is what I'm getting.
Yeah, take that, dot people.
Yeah.
So only one name for that Halloween Spooktacular. So
just had to do that. Yes, we didn't do another thing with that. Episode 15 was Joseph's second part and everything. We went with Joseph has a Gleesome threesome. So we did have the other options. Joseph gets stuck in a gumball machine. Joseph throws hot coffee at an elderly Joe Pesci. Joseph captains a nuclear submarine, and Joseph severs Bryan Cranston's fingers.
We went with funny on this. The severed one probably would have been funny, but it was a bit too goresome. I went with the Glee one, the Gleesome threesome, because I was hoping to capture those Glee people. Was my thought. So I went clicky again, a little funny clicky.
Do people think of it that way?
That's the way I thought of it.
Glee is a word.
Yeah, well, it's also a show.
Yeah, so, from years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking that's why I chose that one.
But they don't use Gleesome in that way.
No, they don't. But that's where my head was. Talking out loud maybe isn't the best. I'm realizing wasn't the best idea, but I stand by it.
Pretty much what we said about Joseph's again, great. We didn't really talk about Wakey Bendy Cumberbakey. He did that in his first part, and then it called back in that part. And it's one of my favorite little epics. Continuously speaking, Wakey Bendy Cumberbakey has been our funniest episode, or one of our funniest. Hits it out of the park every time. I feel like it's a fun segment that kind of throws our guests into like a weird scenario that they have to just roll with, and I do really like that.
It's always a good time.
Yeah, and so and then Joseph's. I don't know, for that one we had do Starbucks the coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
calling a cup of coffee a cup of Joe.
That. No explanation needed.
Calling a cup of instant coffee a cup of sloppy Joe.
Okay, I can appreciate that.
Renew.
Or a quickie from Joe. Joe's Quickies.
Joe Quickie.
Joe Quickie. Yeah.
Calling a cup of coffee with passion. Well, you know the whole thing. Yeah.
And so as of this recording, this is as far as we've gotten.
Yes.
We are doing a recap because I am only in the state for a little bit. So we are doing a recap of all of our videos when not all of our videos are out.
Well, we know what they are. I mean, we can talk about them, and we just don't have them released yet. The next one will be our holiday special, which we can talk about. It was really great having all those people on and everything. That was really fun.
And that one was just filmed a few days ago, which is why we're able to reference it. But and it's a completely different type of setup that we had. But, it introduced me to a lot of new people, and I think it was a lot of fun. And I'm excited to see, because our Halloween TikToks did really well. I'm excited to see how our more Christmassy ones do, because it'll be released closer to that. So, will the trend continue? And then how will they do on YouTube Reels and Instagram?
Yeah. And I think, we've talked, we'll see what we kind of can do with the new season if we do different things. I mean, I think TikTok will be part of it always. But how we sort of do about that and everything will be interesting to see in the future. Yeah, I think that just about, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to see what the new season brings. I mean, this has been, like we talked about, great evolution, great things. If there's anything.
Yeah. I was just going to say, if for those of you who have watched us, whether it's been one time, this is your only episode, or you've watched all of them or half of them.
Or if you missed some and what we said sounded interesting, go back to ones we talked about.
And, if you have any comments on what you want to see us do, let us know. Comment below. We do read. We don't get a ton of comments, so we do read every comment. Email us at cadefriends@gmail.com.
Yes.
Send an email there. Leave a comment on, TikTok or YouTube, Instagram, anywhere. Sorry, I have something in my throat.
Leave us wherever. Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
That's fine.
But yeah, just let us know if you want to see us do stuff, and we will look at that stuff. And we are looking for new ideas. If there's stuff you want to see us do, if there's if you're friends with a celebrity and you can get them on the show, we are more than happy to take anyone who is more famous than us, which is a lot of people. So feel free to let us know if you have a hookup there. We will gladly, and we are happy to make new friends.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you, Alex.
What a great season.
What a great ride this has been. I mean, like just the trajectory of where that's went and everything. It's been quite a bit.
It's been a great time.
Well, lastly, I wanted to plug, I just now remember this. Out now is our cookie cutter documentary.
Yes.
Go watch that on YouTube. That is, Alex and I worked really hard. We're not going to go into what worked in. You can watch, we did a live stream afterwards where we talked about it and a lot of other things. But we worked on a cookie cutter documentary about the National Cookie Cutter Museum that is inside of Joplin, Missouri, and sort of the history of cookie cutters and this organization and everything. It's really fun. It's a great thing Alex and I worked on together.
And the process of making it was also, stay tuned for that story, because the making of it was also quite a ride, but it was so fun, and we met some really great people.
You can check that out on our YouTube page, youtube.com/KThomas. Watch the documentary. It's really cool. But we will see you later this year. Yes. Thanks. We'll see you later this year for season 2 in just a few months. It's not going to be a long wait at all. Just got to take some time, get some to record some stuff. Get ready, take a break. We kind of, we've been doing this for a full, almost full year now. So we're going to take a short little hiatus, and then we'll be back. And our release schedule is, of course, every other Wednesday, and we'll announce that when we're back shortly.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Some would call it the season finale.
Some could call it the season finale. They could.
They can call it the season finale extraordinaire.
They could call it that too. These are all things people could call it, and we'd be fine with it. We would not send them a cease and desist.